Good morning. My name is Westbrook, and I'm a member here at Asbury, and I'm also a member of an organization called Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America. And since we are making this issue of gun violence a part of our mission here at Asbury now, Billy asked me to say a few words about this organization and ways that we as individuals and also as a congregation can get involved. You all noticed, I'm sure, the beautiful orange ribbons for a reason when you walked in, and although they make a very beautiful display, they represent a terrible loss and a terrible source of grief for the families who lost their loved ones, and also for us as a community, for all of these individuals we've lost here in Savannah and Chatham County. And as people of faith, we're called to witness that grief and to do what we can to relieve that suffering. And this is a challenge that Billy put to us a couple weeks ago in his sermon, and challenged us to put our faith into action on this issue. And there's a bulletin insert that talks about different ways that you can get involved, and one of them is to get involved in local organizations that are working to combat gun violence. And I'm part of one of those organizations. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about it and how I got involved and where we go from here. I probably, like many of you, watch the news, and every few months or maybe every year we have a situation like Columbine, if you go back that far, or Aurora or Tucson or Newtown. And after Newtown, I was feeling frustrated with the way this cycle works of when these things happen and we're all so affected by it and horrified by it, and we have a week or two of wall-to-wall cable news coverage, and then we just move on. And we don't tend to, or have not thus far taken any real steps to address this issue on a policy level, or really at all. It's just something we move on from. And I was feeling frustrated by that and just sort of Googled, and I found this organization that was started in the days after Newtown by a mom, and basically wanted to harness the power of moms, but also just of people and Americans to finally respond to this. And so I got involved. And basically, Moms Demand Action is sort of modeled after Mothers Against Drunk Driving, which is basically, brought that issue to light and basically said, this loss is unacceptable and we're not going to accept it anymore. And that's what Moms is trying to do about gun violence, and what I hope that some of you will get involved in. We are mom-centric, but we are not mom-exclusive. We have parents, we have single people, unmarried people, people who are married but don't have children. We have gay, straight, black, white. We have gun owners and we have non-gun owners. So we are a centrist organization. We do not advocate for the repeal of the Second Amendment, but we believe that gun safety and gun rights can coexist, and so that's what we're working for. Basically, what we believe is that, to use President Obama's words, we're awash with guns in this country, and so we have guns in wrong hands and guns in wrong situations, and it's led to a public health crisis. So this is part of an organized effort to respond to that. There's a lot of statistical data out there about this issue, and one of the studies suggests that 88 Americans die every day from gun violence, 8 of them children. So that's a huge loss of life. And as people of faith, we believe, as Leviticus says, that we are not to stand idly by while our neighbor's blood is shed. So we need to step up as people of faith and lead on this issue. So what does our organization do? We advocate for common sense gun legislation. Some of those things are in that insert: background checks, closing the gun show loophole, those types of things. We were very active here in Georgia in trying to defeat House Bill 60, which went into effect in July of last year. It expanded greatly the number of public places that guns can be carried. The Atlanta Journal did a lot of polling on that issue that showed Georgians were opposed to that bill. It passed anyway, and we know the reasons for that. There are organized and powerful moneyed interests on the other side, and we need to be just as organized and just as powerful as the interests on the other side. We also do education. The main way that children lose their lives to guns is accidents, is improper storage of firearms. So, having a gun is something that we're allowed to do as Americans, and we need to make sure that people understand how to keep children and grandchildren safe around firearms so that you don't expose a member of your family to risk in trying to protect yourself in your home. We're also trying to make it a standard question that parents ask before they let their child go over to someone else's house. Do you have firearms in your home, and how are they stored? I have yet to tackle this even. I think this is really hard to do, but we're trying to make that something standard. I have a child with food allergies, and every time he goes anywhere I say, you gotta watch out for peanuts, you gotta watch out for eggs, and we need to be that way for all of our children with guns. Another thing we're involved in is corporate campaigns. We have pressured Target, Chipotle, Starbucks, Sonic, and a number of other retailers and restaurants to make their establishments gun-free, so that when you go there that is at least the corporate policy of the place that you're going and that you're taking your family. And that's a very powerful thing to do, because sometimes we have more power as consumers, sadly, than we even do as citizens. We can get Target to respond to us even when we can't get our legislators to be as responsive to us. So what can any of you do who are interested? We have a Savannah chapter of Moms. You can join. You can sign up to be a volunteer. Another thing you can do is just, if you're a Facebook person, like the Facebook page, and that will cause the updates from Moms to show up in your feed, so that if nothing else, you're becoming a lot more aware of this, and you're realizing that, today a child got a hold of a gun and killed himself or killed another child. Just awareness and knowing that this is going on is a first step that I think is really powerful. We'll also keep you informed of legislation, so that way if there is something coming up in Georgia, or if there's something going on in another state, you can call up your legislator, you can email your legislator, and you don't have to do the legwork necessarily of keeping up with all of that, because we'll do that for you and just mobilize you when it's time to call. You can go on our website and you can see which corporations share your values. So when it's time to buy your child new shoes for basketball, instead of going to the retailer that markets guns to children or sells assault weapons, you can go shop somewhere else and know that your dollars are not going to things that you don't support. I would be happy to, I hope I haven't talked too fast, by the way. I was a little nervous. The final thing I want to say is Moms has a campaign called Rising for Charleston, and this is a faith-based campaign. We're mobilizing the power of prayer and also engaging lawmakers on this issue, and just trying to get churches to do what we started here at Asbury a couple weeks ago, which is just to start a dialogue about this. And so that we can know ways that we can be involved as citizens and as people of faith in this issue. So if you want to ask me any questions about this, I'll be happy to answer them or give you more information or take your email address in the social hall after. Thanks.